drummer. I wish I could make Sina really big because she's who we're featuring in this drum live. Um, she's a brilliant drummer who made her name first on YouTube, but is actually has a band called She Might and is breaking out from covers into originals and is brilliant and can do anything. And can we start on the Zoom, John? Okay, we're live. And then those of us on other channels, I've just introduced Sina, and I also want to introduce Jasmine Starr, who is a multi-instrumentalist, most famous as a guitarist. She was named one of the top 5 young guitarists of the year last year and by Guitar World, and she's a genius, and she's just released a single called The Cliff, which you can get on all channels. Go to Spotify, follow her on Spotify. She's named Jasmine Starr, and she is a star. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Ari Gold. I am in the Guinness World Records for air drumming, and I made a movie called Adventures of Power, which I have on my, it's kind of fading off of my headband, which Neil Peart from Rush was in, and it's about air drummers and the American dream, and it's a comedy, and you can watch it on Amazon, or if you don't live in the States, you can find it at airdrummer.com. And that's me. So I've been doing these weekly shows with bands, like we've had Anthrax and Styx and Suicidal Tendencies and Lit and Diamante, and mostly drummers, but we're honored to have when guitarists show up like Jasmine Starr or like Alex Skolnick did, to talk about the meaning of music, the power of music, what inspires you. And then afterwards, we'll play my movie for those who want to stick around for that. So why don't we start with how we all kind of met? There is something we all have in common. You guys played a duet of From Germany to California of Rush's YYZ. And I also played Rush's YYZ when I was in Germany for Neil Peart, the drummer of Rush. And so this is kind of a beautiful thing. Hold on, I'm going to try to stop this echo. I got a complaint of an echo.
Well, then while you're trying to stop that, of course, got to compliment you on the movie. Adventures of Power is awesome. I actually saw it last night, and it was awesome. And gotta just say, oh my gosh, the level of commitment that you had to put into it to get those air drumming scenes was just amazing. I was so appreciative of it because it takes so much kind of just guts and commitment to just go and just do, and you really just delivered on it. And so you did an awesome job with that as director, writer, and actor in it.
Thank you. I mean, I got in shape for that air drumming, and there's a joke in the movie that air drumming is harder than real drumming, and I think Sina will probably disagree with me on this because she is actually a genius drummer. But as a workout, it's harder than drumming because you have nothing to bounce off of. So when you're doing all the drumming, and particularly if you're like in a squat position like this, you have to hit down and up and up and up and down, and you have nothing to bounce off. And I've tested it where I'll play a song on drums and test my heart rate, and then I play the same thing on air drums, and it's like heart rate is way higher. So for workouts,
yeah, drumming. I believe that. I can totally imagine that.
Sina, did you start as an air drummer? Be honest, before you played drums.
Yeah, of course I played drums before I had drums. I personally, I was never so much of an air drummer as just drumming on anything I could find, like my lap or tables or whatever. I never really started to be a real air drummer, but I also watched the movie yesterday, and I also really enjoyed it. So I will try it for sure whenever there's no drum set around, and it's also way nicer for our neighbors if I would be an air drummer, I think.
Yeah, hold on. People are saying, okay, is this better? Turning off audio. Did that help the echo? I don't know.
I don't know. It hasn't been super bad on my end.
We're doing our best. Sorry, guys. But so were you? I mean, what convinced your family to let you start actually making noise, Sina?
Music was always around in my family, so I am in the very, very, very lucky position that I didn't have to convince anyone that I wanted to do this. I appreciate
So
this a lot.
Your dad is a musician, right?
Yeah, right. He's a guitar player, actually.
Okay. Is
and
he
I was
better?
lucky
Is he
that
better
one
than
day-
Jasmine?
No.
The
Never.
correct answer to that, Sina, is yes, he is, no matter what. That is the correct answer. True, not whatever. You're supposed to say yes, he is better. It's totally fine. I'll take that. I'll take one for the team. We got it.
No. I need to be honest here. I need to be honest.
You're totally welcome to throw me under the bus.
So your dad introduced you to music, right? Or you started playing with him. And so what were the bands that you grew up listening to?
Oh, the first band I listened to all the time were the Beatles. That's just my starting point in music.
Well, since I'm representing Modern Drummer magazine today on the Instagram as well, you know, we will work on it. We will work on getting you to Ringo. No promises.
Awesome. I'll take your word for that.
Yeah. And so you started by, you know, playing these covers, and did you always know that you wanted to also play original music, or did it start as a weird hobby that just got huge without
it just happened. The whole YouTube channel just happened to me. It was this crazy idea my dad had to just upload the song that I learned for my drumming lessons. Actually a Dream Theater cover that I put 6 months of my life into learning this because I just wanted to be able to play it. And then it was my dad's idea, just, okay, now you learned it and you don't have any band to play that with. So let's just film it and upload it to YouTube and see what happens. So it's just, I never
go viral?
Viral.
Or ish?
No, actually no. It just takes so much time. This was in 2013. I uploaded my first video, and it gets some views, and it's getting some more views, and then some more, but it never really went viral. It's just for me, it was the continuity of uploading all the time,
consistently,
again and again, consistently. Yeah.
And Jasmine, was that the same thing for you, where you just started posting and posting and posting, and then watched your numbers go through the roof, or what?
Well, I started posting, I can't remember when. I think I was like 12 or 13. And it was what I was up to in my day. I've been working on music since I was 3 years old. So I've always just been working on music all the time. And so when I was about 12 or 13, I got an Instagram account. And I started just kind of posting my life. Oh, I'm working on this guitar solo. Oh, I'm at a studio here. I'm performing here. That kind of thing. And then it started to just build and build. And I've just really enjoyed being able to connect with other music lovers. And so it's been a really awesome experience. And then I kind of moved on from Instagram. I kept going on Instagram and kind of posting what I was up to. And then I started on YouTube and TikTok. And I actually have Sina to thank for my first 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, because I had already gained a little bit of traction on Instagram, but I didn't really have a lot going on YouTube yet. And then we did our YYZ collab, and that got me my first 1,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Oh, wow. So you're a more recent phenomenon then. And Sina is responsible for your she's like the Frankenstein, and you're the monster that she's created.
Jasmine was really only talking about YouTube. It's just Instagram is more her thing, and YouTube is more my thing.
Well, so those on Instagram right now are saying, who is she? And I'm gonna, your Instagram account is Jasmine, just so I can type it in for people.
It is at Jasmine Star Music.
Okay, she lost her phone, so she's you can go to it's true. You can go to Sina's YouTube. No, Sina's Facebook. All of our Facebooks have this. or actually go to the Adventures of Power Facebook, because I know it's there. And yeah, so those on Instagram, sorry, it's what happens with the internet. Things can be challenging. Okay, now I pinned it. I pinned it for those who are lost.
Yeah.
And by the way, Sina, you were right. I held down my finger on it, and that allowed me to pin. So that was important. So wait, so the YYZ Rush thing, I mean, the YYZ collab with Sina was your launch then, Jasmine? I didn't know that.
For YouTube, pretty much. I mean, I had posted some stuff on YouTube, like I had been, if you go onto my about on YouTube, it says that I've had an account there for a very long time, which is true, but it was mostly, you know, when I was 10, 11, just posting up like classical piano performances and stuff, not like YouTube content, more of just like, this happened today. And then, but that was like where it really started, was with YYZ.
Those videos are so amazing.
Well, thank you, Sina.
Sina's watched all of your videos late at night. She's memorized them. She's gonna airdrum to them.
Yeah, for sure I did.
So, Jasmine, you're as a guitarist, it's strange that Carole King, I've heard, is what inspired you to become a musician. What is the secret link between Carole King and YYZ?
Well, wow, what a question.
Does she rock?
No, Carole King is awesome because she really, it shows that good songwriting is timeless, because, you know, my grandmother used to listen to it. So then because of that, my mom listens to it. And when she listens to it, she thinks of her mom. And now I listen to it and I think of my mom and my grandmother. So it's really timeless music. But really, my start in music was purely classical. My older brother, he's 5 years older than me, and because he's the overachiever in the household, he was like, I'm gonna play classical violin at age 2 because I want to make my sister, who hasn't even been born yet, look bad, is basically how that happened. And so then by the time I was 3, he had already been playing for like 6 years. And so I have always been competitive my whole life. So I was like, okay, therefore I'm doing that. And then I moved to piano pretty quickly. I discovered pretty quickly after a couple of on violin that it wasn't my calling. So I switched to classical piano, and then I started singing when I was about 7, and then started playing guitar shortly after to accompany my singing. And then I heard Stevie Ray Vaughan, and then big breakthrough moment. Booyah, that changed everything. It legitimately did, though, because I heard it and I was like, what is this? I must do this. And then that's when I really got into like,
okay, what is this? I must do. So you were competitive even with Stevie Ray Vaughan? Personally, you wanted to beat him?
No, because he's Stevie Ray Vaughan. He's legendary. I have so much respect for him. Like, oh man, I have so much respect for Stevie Ray Vaughan, and I just love listening to his music. I love playing it. I love stealing his licks. Like, all of it is just like so awesome to me. I don't feel competitive with like a legend like that. I feel competitive with my older brother, because why wouldn't I be?
You're still competitive with him after all this time.
Yes, but there's so much of a mutual respect there, and he helps me so much to this day with whatever I'm working on. And when I get a chance to, I help him. We work in completely different sides of music. He works in like TV music and composing and scoring and all of that stuff, and more on a classical side.
My brother does too.
In rock, so it's completely opposite, and yet it's really helpful to be on completely different sides of the spectrum musically, because then when we come together, we bring completely different perspectives, which can make a project really special. Right.
Okay. So in terms of the kind of connection between you and Sina, like it seems like you have a shared love of Rush, obviously, because of YYZ. Sina, do you ever play Van Halen? You guys could do a Van Halen cover together.
Oh yeah, we actually did, but my part was pretty small on that one.
What song?
We did a cover
It was
of
Eruption, yeah. Oh, right. Yes. So you went like this once at the beginning.
And I worked very hard on that, yeah.
I was a little bit worried though, not gonna lie, because I did the guitar part with it completely free form, no click, no anything. And because of that, I didn't have your drum part yet. And I was a little worried, we were recording it separately, that the 3 hits that we did together were gonna be out of time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so Sina, you had to time it. You had to listen to her thing and time it and pretend she was going like this, right?
Yeah, actually, so that's where it gets difficult, because usually I do a lot of collaborations, and I know how to record on separate parts of the planet and edit it together and make it sound like we're in the same room, and it works if you play on the same track, or if one person records their part first and then the second person plays on top of their part. But this time it just didn't work out. I don't remember anymore why. Probably I had to get off to the Netherlands, and we wanted to post a video. So I played the drums on top of the original. And then I left, and I let my dad handle this. And then Jasmine sent her part, but she just played it like she said, with no click and not on top of the original, just at her own time, when what she was feeling.
As a free-flowing musician.
Well, the thing is, getting Eruption in time with Eddie was going to be impossible for me to get every single thing perfectly in time.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Well, see, we talked about this, Jasmine. If you, as a guitarist, want to get on the cover of Modern Drummer magazine, you have to do finger picking and convince Modern Drummer that this is like paradiddles.
That is paradiddles. That is 100%.
But the obvious choice for you guys would be to do Hot for Teacher, because I know Jasmine's already done Hot for Teacher. It does have the most amazing drum part, and I have played Hot for Teacher as an air drummer in front of 7,000 people in Finland. So if you need a backup air drummer to do the second tom part, because actually when they play live, Eddie would stand next to Alex and hit the toms at the same time, which is something that you listen to it, it's like, this is impossible. It's like, yeah, it is impossible because there's 2 people. But so I'm happy to perform the air drums alongside you guys if you do.
No, you're on vocals.
Huh? You're
on vocals.
I'm on vocals, air vocals. I'll do air vocals with David Lee Roth. Yeah. Maybe I could do the vocals. His scream though, David Lee Roth's scream is untoppable.
Well, he could he was basically hitting pinch harmonics with his voice.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the most guitaristic way I could say that. He's doing Eddie's pinch harmonics, but with his voice.
I think of him as like a Tuvan throat singer, where he can do like multiple melodies at the same time. Have you heard those guys from Tuva?
Yeah, I have. I can do a really, really bad impression of it, which I will not be doing here.
Wait a minute, you can't say that. You can't say that. You please.
No, you just have to know the way you do it is how they do it, or to originally get it, because I've totally not gone on YouTube binges and watched tutorials of how to do this because I was bored. That didn't happen. So no, how you have to do it is you have to go from an oo to an e really slowly, super like keep it super in your head voice. And if you do it slow enough, you can start to get the harmonics. My brother and I have tried to get the harmonics in like chords in harmony, and it is the most obnoxious thing in the world to my parents. And it's been, I strictly remember memory. This is probably from only like 6 weeks ago. It was like probably 11:30 at night. My brother and I were tucking our parents into bed because we go to bed after them. So we were telling them goodnight. And somehow doing multi-harmonic throat singing came up. And so my brother started trying to imitate it while they were trying to go to sleep at like 11:30 at night, and then tried to get me to do the harmony on it. And it went about as well as it sounds it went. And that is all I will be saying on the matter.
Well, wait a minute. No, I'm imagining that it actually sounded good.
You severely overestimate our harmonic talent.
Well, I think you I think you should work on that, because I think adding throat singing to your repertoire. I mean, I know The Cliff. I'll mention The Cliff again. The Cliff, your new single on Spotify
Available now everywhere.
the 2022 version of The Cliff, I think, should have throat singing in it, and I think it should, to bring everything home, Sina should play her drumsticks on a guitar. Because I know that Sina, you did that on a track, right?
I did that.
Which can be a good sound. I have my ukulele is something where you don't want to hear that, but I have a little miniature. I have like a miniature keyboard, a melodica, like a miniature, essentially accordion, and a miniature guitar, aka a ukulele, and a miniature surfboard. So I have a question about the shuffle for Sina. I am also a big fan of Jeff Porcaro. There's something that feels like brain massage to listen to his drumming. I feel like it could heal people from traumatic brain injury because it's so rich. What do you love about Jeff Porcaro, and what's really hard about doing his drumming?
That's so hard to explain, I think. When I grew up, when I started to play drums, actually, my dad, who is a huge influence for me, we already talked about that, but he said, okay, the most difficult thing you could ever learn on drums is the Rosanna shuffle. So of course I went like, okay, I have to figure this out. So I went to my drum teacher and I said, okay, I want to learn this, and he showed me how to do it. So I knew, okay, it's the shuffle, it's you do that with your right hand, and then you fill up the space with your left hand. And so I learned that, and I wanted to be able to play it. And then I think I was, I don't know, 14 years old, and I thought, okay, that's easy, I can do this now. So I recorded a video, I uploaded it, and I thought, okay, nice, I'm amazing, I can play Rosanna. I'm finished now. I don't have to learn anything. And it was only later that I realized I couldn't do anything. It just, what I did sounded so horrible. Mm-hmm. And then I only realized how incredibly hard it is to play the Rosanna shuffle like Jeff Porcaro did. It's just, I don't think it's possible. It's just
because he sounds so relaxed.
He sounds so relaxed, and he is relaxed. It's
well, I mean, but think about this though. John Bonham did his own version of a shuffle inspired by Jeff Porcaro, and he made it his.
Yeah.
So on the obvious song. Dun, 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 dun. I'm blanking on the name of the song. Jasmine, help me. What's the name of the song that has
Rain,
which, Fool in the Rain. Thank you.
First that I took from her, so she gets the credit. Fool in the Rain is funny though, because I went through a phase where I'm like, I'm gonna learn drums, which I would still love to do, but I just really haven't had time to properly put in the work to learn drums. But I went through a bit of a time where I was like, okay, I'm going to really dedicate myself to this and do it. And I understand basic music theory. So like, I can understand what I'm supposed to be doing. It's just a matter of actually doing it. But Fool in the Rain, that was one of the first beats that I learned, was that. And I could play it out of time. However, my hands and feet lined up, so I will take that as a win, even though if you put a click to it, it would be so embarrassingly off. But it was the right? And so I remember, instead of learning it like the proper drummer way, I learned it like a pianist, where I just really I just looked at like the drum tab for it and tried to just remember what went together so I could view it as one sequence. So it was like kick and hi-hat that goes together, then snare, then that's a ghost. And I wasn't viewing it as a beat, as like a continuous phrase. I was viewing it as every single beat, it's just this to this to this, and try to learn the coordination like that. And I showed it to a guitar coach who I was working with at the time, who also is a really good drummer. And I remember him looking at me like, I don't know how you learned that as your first one. And granted, this was terribly executed. I'm not like, I was amazing. It was not amazing at all. Let's get this very
You're
clear.
no Sina. Let's see.
But that was like one of the first beats that I learned. And I'm a little proud of myself for it, but I know if I watched a video of it, I would be very ashamed of myself for it.
No. You really shouldn't be. That's just the way to start. You know?
I think the way to start is to watch the Bernie Purdy shuffle.
Oh my
videos.
God.
Have you guys seen those videos?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, the way he talks about ghost notes is a shuffle in itself. I mean, it's just like his love of ghosting makes you, it's like you start moving your chair. And like, I think Jeff Porcaro got his shuffle as a kind of development of the Bernie Purdy shuffle, and then John Bonham got it from. So it's beautiful how it's like the Chinese food in San Francisco that was American style Chinese food was started by the workers who came over to build the railroad and were trying to imitate the cooking of their families back home and didn't know what they were doing, and they just kind of made it up as they went along, and that made American style Chinese food. And the same way as like the shuffle, can someone who doesn't know how to, like maybe Jeff Porcaro thought he didn't know how to do the Bernie shuffle, maybe John Bonham thought he didn't know how to do the Jeff Porcaro shuffle, but each person by trying ends up accidentally creating their own version of it. I think that's
of course. Yeah, that's the whole point of music, isn't it? Everyone starts learning their instrument by playing stuff they like, and then doing
by playing it wrong.
By playing it wrong, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Whoa, hello, something just happened here. Oh, sorry, technical difficulties. So I'd love to hear. I think we're getting that echo again. I'd love to hear what you guys are planning on doing next with each other, and then maybe each of you can tell everyone what your next big project is on your own. And have you ever met in person, the two of you?
No.
Okay, that's so old-fashioned.
This is our first time actually even like talking to each other in real time. It's always been over email or DM.
Well, so I'm playing matchmaker, although you guys are already a match. So I have a vision, because Jasmine is a singer, guitarist, and wants to play Wembley Stadium, and Sina is one of the great drummers coming up on the planet right now. I know, Sina, you have a band, which I'd love to talk about. It's called She Might. It looks like She Might, for those of you who don't know.
Yeah, actually, I have to stop you there. It's She Might is the name of the project. It's not the name of a band. So
okay. So that's where you collaborate with other artists.
I have a band, and I play together with different musicians.
Okay.
So I called that project She Might, but it's not a band. It's just.
So what is keeping a band of you guys forming?
It's
what's
that
the
we
hold
live
up?
on opposite sides of the planet.
Yeah, that's part of it.
I would love so much to be in a band with you, Jasmine, and all this creativity that's just flowing out of you, and it's incredible the amount of instruments you can play on this level. It's totally amazing. It blows my mind. I would love to be in a band with you, but it's just so difficult.
Well, thank you, Sina. You're absolutely incredible. You're just such an amazing drummer and such an amazing person. You've always just been the nicest person to me. And like, for me, my thing has always been, I want to work with like the best, most kind people on the planet. And you definitely qualify for that. So one day, hopefully at some point, if I get to visit Germany at some point, probably post-pandemic and all of that, at some point I would love to get to jam with you. At some point, it's just completely on opposite sides of the world, and it works for like covers and stuff when we both already know what's going on, but for the actual like creativity of like being in the room with someone, wanted
Yeah,
to do it at that point.
it's a different thing. I mean, even in my movie Adventures of Power, there's a whole. I mean, it's a joke because it's all about air drummers, but there's this thing about a team. Oh, whoops, sorry, the audio went out. There's the thing about how you create a team energy and the difference between, someone being their own hero versus being a hero because you have a group and let's say there's a 5-person group and that becomes 10 or 20. And there is a strange thing that's happening right now in music with people becoming, and there's no criticism in this, but people becoming stars playing in their rooms or in their closet or whatever. Obviously the culture now is experiencing life through these screens, but being in a room with someone, another musician, and being in a room with the audience is a completely different experience. And do you guys have any nervousness about making that transition from the comfort of your rooms to playing with other musicians who have other egos and playing with an audience that has its own ego and desires? And if either of you can answer, but just curious if it scares you at all.
And Sina, I hope you don't mind if I
No,
do this right now. For me, live performing is my passion. That's what I just love it so much. To me, that being on stage is the best feeling in the world. And I started as a live performer and I am a live performer. And as the world kind of starts to open up, I hope to be doing more live performances. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that is just what I love so much. And I haven't been able to do it as much because of the pandemic, but that is my passion. And that's where I just feel I just love it so much that I'm not nervous about it. Because right now, any chance at all to get to play live, I just get so excited for, whether it's the smallest venue in the world or the largest venue in the world. I just get so excited. And I think that
you played live with, speaking of Germany and liveness, you played live with Scorpions, right? On KLOS? Or you
over Zoom.
Okay, over Zoom. Okay.
Over Zoom. I wish it was live. No,
but I mean, that you could get into one of their gig cases and sneak your way to Germany with them, and then
possibility
form your band with Sina.
No, I agree. That's definitely what I'm gonna do. I'm leaving for that tonight. I haven't told anybody because I gotta sneak into the drum case or whatever. But
right.
that was part of the plan.
You know what you say when they pull you off the tarmac and they open it up and it's you in the inside and you're in Germany? You say, "Here I am."
That is an exact imitation and impersonation of what is going to happen. I'm excited for it. That is what I'm going to do.
Okay. Just give me 10% of everything you make as the Scorpions cover band. We tour all the favorite places in Bavaria to play Scorpion covers. No, you guys have bigger dreams than that. Okay, so and Sina, how about you? Have you done much live performing?
Yeah, I do not have a lot of experience with that. So I did not start as a live musician. For me, it was the other way around. I was learning how to play the drums, and I didn't have a band. I didn't have the possibility to meet with other people because there was just no one around where I live. So I started a YouTube channel out of not knowing what to do with my.
You off in the countryside somewhere?
Yeah, in the middle of nowhere, actually.
That's a beautiful thing. That never would have happened in the past, that someone could become a world-renowned musician while stuck in a small town. People have to put their instrument on their back and hitchhike to New York City and live in the bus station for a couple of weeks and work their way up, and you're able to turn on a camera and show your talent. That is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, that's so true, and I appreciate that so much. Yeah, really, it's I of course I want to be a live musician. I want to perform also. I also want to continue the YouTube channel because this has just been such an amazing experience for me. And
people love you. There's a lot of people who love you. As you, I know that there's a lot of people asking to marry you, which gets to be a headache, I guess.
yeah. I actually put that on my FAQ.
Like, no thanks. The FAQ is no thanks.
No,
sorry.
It's, most probably not. Sorry.
I'd be the bearer of bad news. So what else? I mean, I wanted to bring up, by the way, some drummers that, I mean, I'm trying to get Greta Van Fleet to do my show, but you did a Greta Van Fleet cover. Who would you love to open for with the band that is yet to be formed? Maybe you're going to play drums for Jasmine Star and her slaves, or whatever she calls it.
Wow, that is certainly not what I would be calling it.
Well, this is the question. Sorry, I want to go back to you for a second, but like you said, you were toggling between I'm not sure I want to be a band or just be, have it be my thing. So like the question is, could you see something where you actually have a collaborative band, or would you want to, like, where's something where you could actually disappear into a band, even if you're the singer? Can you imagine that?
My dream since I was very little, like the Wembley Stadium thing, just so you know, isn't like a new thing. I've been walking around telling people that since I was like 9 years old. So at this point, it's going to be really embarrassing if it doesn't happen. So like The Cliff, check it out now, stream it. No, yes, actually.
Spotify.
No, but my dream since I was little has always been to front my own band, and that's always been what I've been working towards, is to be the lead of a band, of like it being Jasmine Star and just having a backing band, and that sort of thing has always been my dream. But that doesn't mean that I'm not open to other things. I love working with other musicians. I think it can be a lot of fun, and so there's always room to work with awesome people. Like, I think that the world would be a better place if we all just took some time and got to work with super talented, super awesome, super kind and nice people. And so I'm always down to do that. That's always my dream has always been to be Jasmine Star and to have my own show and to have my own band and to do. But with that being said, I'm still so open to working with awesome people, especially people like Sina, because like she's amazing. And like, why wouldn't I want to? She's incredible.
Yeah, and I think about someone like, I don't know, Sting, where, when he was able to call all his own shots, it takes on a certain very Sting-like quality. But when there were three egos clashing, what the Police were able to create, even though Sting wrote, more of the songs, or he wrote most of the songs on, technically, the musical contributions of the two other guys was equal, and the combat of artistic differences, I think, when you're lucky, can create something that a solo artist, for me anyway, as a listener, like I always like a band when I can hear everyone with their own complete, and like you can hear the disagreement in the Police, and I love that. You can hear like, wait a minute, that doesn't fit together or shouldn't fit together, and yet it's amazing, the energy of these three guys with totally different tastes and influences fighting each other and then putting that into the music. I love that. So maybe you two will.
Well, I think that you can do that without fighting each other. Like, you can have musical disagreements without it being an ego thing. So
I
like,
have a twin brother
out of the picture.
I have a twin brother who did all of the music for Adventures of Power. His name's Ethan Gold. He's also on Spotify. Ethan Gold on Spotify.
Check him out, everybody.
Check him out. And we would fight all the time. Loving fight. I don't necessarily mean that people want to strangle each other, but just, artistic disagreement is people bringing, if someone has, like Sina, comes out of loving Ringo and Jeff Porcaro and Zeppelin, and there's like kind of like the influence of her father's musical taste, like in her, and then Jasmine comes at it with a completely different thing. That you're actually additive. It's like, if you only listening to yourself, you only have your own influences. But if you were to bring on, I don't know, like an African bass player who never listened to rock and roll, you would something magical would come
I
out of
totally
it.
agree. I totally get what you're saying. Of course, you need to play with other people just to make your horizon bigger. I don't know. That's a German expression. I'm sorry. I don't think you
Ich
said
verstehe. Ich bin Deutsch. Ich kann Deutsch sprechen.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now I would start again. I think it's incredibly important to work with other musicians as well. Of course, like I said, everyone has a different background, and everyone I played with, I have learned something from, of course. So I hear something, I take it, I feel it, I make my own thing out of it. And I think by meeting live and in person in the same room, this happens much easier and happens faster.
Yeah.
Of course, but also what I was doing, like working with so many different musicians on She Might, this was such an amazing experience, and I will continue to do it because I love it so much, to work with so many different people.
And each song has a completely different collaborator, right? On She Might.
Yeah. Almost every song has different people playing on it. Yeah, it's different genres, and it's just me finding myself, finding out what I like.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's like
so actually
with directing
now,
a movie. When I'm directing, like I always approach a scene like, oh, I know exactly what I want. I know what it should sound like. I know what the actors should look like. And then of course you cast it, and the person is never what you thought in advance. And if you remain stuck with like, oh wait, this character is supposed to look like this, and then you start forcing the actor to do that, you're not going to find out the amazing secrets that they have if you let them bring their own energy to it. I mean, I think of like, the trainer character in Adventures of Power, this guy named Stephen Williams, who I have to admit I hadn't heard of him before, and he wasn't at all what I pictured for the part of the trainer. And by chance, he auditioned, and I was like, there's something about him that feels completely different than what I expected, but let me try this. And for me, he's one of my favorite things in Adventures of Power, is that this guy has so much like humor and rage about having like lost his arms, so he can't even play air drums anymore. And like, I mean, whatever, it's a comedy, those of you who haven't seen it. But if I had stuck with my idea of what that character was supposed to be like, I had him as like younger and more kind of like a little bit more full of himself in my head. I was picturing like Morris Day and the Time type of vibe, but he brought something else which brought all this gravity to it. And now I look back and I'm like, God, if I had stuck with my idea, when I was by myself in my room writing, if I stuck with that, I wouldn't have had that amazing performance in the movie. And so I hope you get a chance soon to start playing with people you respectfully disagree with. I don't mean fighting, like hating each other, but people who come into the room with a different style, play with other drummers. Jeff Porcaro played with himself, of course, like on some of his tracks. He'd have two different ideas, one on one side and one on the other. Like when he played for Boz Gags, someone told me this. You can hear, if you listen on the left side, there's 16th notes playing, and the other side it's eighth notes, which sounds great together. And apparently he played two tracks and they put him in at the same time. But I heard more recently that he actually didn't want to do the 16th notes because he thought it was like a wannabe disco thing, and he was opposed to the whole like everyone pushing for like the disco style, and so he did it reluctantly, and then the producer like shoved it in. So, but actually I love the way the drums sound in that track. The mix of two. Jeff Porcaro was playing with himself. In his case, he can be influenced by himself. Well, actually, you know what? I just talked myself into it. He was forced to do something he didn't want to do.
Yeah.
The best thing for a musician.
That's another thing. Yeah.
One of the ways that and I love to Play with other musicians. I love bouncing ideas off of other people, but right now, especially with the state of how the pandemic has been for the past year and a half almost, where everything's been locked down, one of the ways that I really enjoy pushing myself in a different way is I like to write guitar solos over all different styles of music. And I'm not particular to like one style of music. Like I love all different genres of music. And so one of the ways that I kind of try to, it will never be the same, but one of the ways that I enjoy pushing myself in a way while we've been in lockdown and whatnot is to just write solos over everything, because there's so much awesomeness to be found in so many different genres if you just look for it and you just find it. And so it's so much fun to me because I love all this kind of music, and then but to try to put a guitar solo on something that was so obviously written to not have a guitar solo on it has been so much fun.
Like what? Can you give an example?
I put a lot of guitar solos on stuff on super modern popular music right now, which I don't particularly think that a Doja Cat song, a guitar solo was what they had in mind for it, but that doesn't mean that it shouldn't be there.
Right.
Like I like it, and
someone's got to add a guitar solo to that shit.
No, and honestly, Doja Cat kills it. I love her. Like I think she's awesome, but
Has she heard it?
I'm not sure. I don't think so.
There's
been some times where the artist has seen it, and that's always a lot of fun. But like I think that all of this music is just so awesome, and I love just giving myself the challenge of let's put a bass line on that. Well, I don't think they intended a guitar solo there. Let's put it on there anyways, and that just brings me so much joy.
Yeah,
I love that idea so much. It's you have so many videos where you're just doing that, and you can just sit there the whole day and watch those. It's amazing.
Thank you.
So what I did actually about that while we're on that topic, I did a totally crazy thing of I started to study music. I started to study jazz and pop music. So why did I do that? People ask me. Obviously, I'm a rock drummer. I love rock music. I love playing rock. But it's just you learn so much from just putting yourself into situations you're not so comfortable with. And I feel like I've learned so much in this past year. That's so valuable for me and for my rock playing as well. So I totally get what you're saying.
I mean, Neil Peart, you know, in the last years of his life, he was traveling to Africa to learn different polyrhythms. I mean, you know, one should remain a student forever. That's how you expand. That's how you grow. And I mean, it's great. And particularly if it's music you don't like, or you don't think you like it, but there's so much you can get from that. It's like, I mean, same thing with movies too. People are like, oh, would you ever do, you know, sci-fi? And I'm like, and then you start thinking, and now I'm like actually creating sci-fi, you know, simply because it's not something that I normally do. So we're about at our timeout. So I want to thank you both so much for doing this, and those of you who don't know, this was the original excuse for this was my movie Adventures of Power works with Modern Drummer to do these talks with drummers and sometimes with guitarists as well. And the movie Adventures of Power, if you see it, if you watch it on Vimeo, you can buy it, or on Amazon. In many countries you can watch it. The movie supports Music Cares, which is the Grammy Foundation that helps musicians in need, helps them with food in the case of the last year, or addiction if there's drug problems. And there's a really beautiful organization that's helped a lot of musicians, some who just play at your local bar, and some who were famous at one point and made songs that changed their lives and might be on hard times. So anyone who watches Adventures of Power, spreads the word about it, just know that you're also supporting a good cause and hopefully having a fun hour and a half watching me air drum with Michael McKean from Spinal Tap and Jane Lynch and Neil.
Everyone go stream it on Amazon.
Yes. Adventures of
Art
Power.
is amazing in it. Seriously, go stream it.
Yes, thank you. And so we're gonna, some of the channels are gonna continue to stream the movie when we sign off, and if not, you can go to airdrummer.com and follow the links and check it out. And you two are so amazing, so inspiring. Your hunger for music and your enthusiasm makes me certain that Sina, you're going to be on the cover of Modern Drummer, and Jasmine.
And I will be too.
Jasmine will be as
Jasmine
well.
will be hammering. But no, well, you'll be in Wembley, and I want to hold the vision that you guys do a band together, like a band. And that doesn't mean you can't do your solo. That doesn't mean that She Might won't exist. Doesn't mean Jasmine Star, and company won't exist. But a band where it's like the two of you are able to disappear into each other's tastes and beautifully fight with each other and create something that the world has never heard before. So I'm going to believe in that. And I will air drum to it when I hear it.
Awesome. I will be air drumming it to it too, because I can't play drums.
I'll bet you can, though. I'll bet you secretly.
I'm sure she can.
Yeah.
With some practice, I could. Currently, I cannot. I'm not going to say that I could never drum. I'm just saying that right now, I could technically play drums, but does it mean that the kick drum would be in time with a metronome?
Right.
No, it does not.
Right. Okay. Well, you're creating your own polyrhythms then with your
exactly. It's like when you're out of tune, you're not out of tune. You're experimenting with quarter tones. It's different.
Mm-hmm.
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 Yes.
On that note, right? On that quarter note, I should play my keyboard poet. This is there on this on these notes. I have a keyboard next to me as well. Thank you so much. Good night to those of you in Germany.
Thank you so much.
I'll see you when I'll probably be in Berlin in the coming months. Maybe we can high five somewhere, or air high five, whatever it is. And Jasmine, maybe I'll see you on Venice Beach if you ever come out here, and wave at me surfing. So everyone, please follow these geniuses. Sina drums you can find everywhere, and Jasmine Star you can find everywhere. My name's Ari Gold. I'm with Modern Drummer and with my movie Adventures of Power, and thank you so very much. Those of you who want to stay on and watch the movie, if it plays, you can watch it. If not, you find it. Okay. We're in technical hell. And thank you, John, and Upstream Media for making this insanity possible, and Dee Dee as well for helping organize all the questions and graphics and everything. So have a beautiful day, evening, wherever you are. Bye.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
You are power. Keep the rock.